This is Happily Holistic, where we dive deeply into everything health and wellness with a big dash of spirituality and a sprinkle of business. We spotlight the uplifting and the positive and share the secret ways top wellness authors and celebrities get inspired, stay healthy, and enjoy this beautiful life. I'm your host, Amy Lee Mercury, best-selling author of 15 books and holistic health expert for the last 19 years. I can't wait to get happily holistic with you today. Hello. Welcome to Happily Holistic. I am so excited because my good friend Shannon Kaiser is on the podcast with us today.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here with you. This is so cool.
Yay! Shannon's amazing, and we have been good friends for quite a few years now, huh? When did
you know what's cool is how we met. I remember reading your book, The Spiritual Girl's Guide to Dating, like in 2013, maybe?
Yes.
Does that sound about right?
It came out in
2012. Because I was going.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was like, I was going through a breakup and I was like, I need this. And I absorbed every word. I was just getting into social media. I saw the author was on Twitter and I messaged you on Twitter. I don't even know what I said, but long story short, maybe like 9 months later, you wrote back to me on Twitter. And at that point I had my book out and you were like, I see you're an author. And then we just became soul sisters.
We became soul sisters. And I said, hey, I didn't know how to use direct messages. Sorry.
No, that's literally it. And at that point I was like, oh, I forgot that I messaged you. But it was so great because it was all divine timing because we like travel together now. We have our Skype sessions and you just mean so much to me. You're a great friend.
You're such a soul sister. And it's funny because you had messaged me and I didn't even know about direct messages for a while. This is a while ago. I think I got with the program lately, but and then I was like tracking you down because I found a website Shannon had designed. She's an amazing graphic designer. I think primarily retired because she's such a best-selling author. She's too busy to do such things now. You'd have to tell us. But I tracked you down because this website was so amazing, and I was like, I gotta have this girl design my site. Come to find out, she's an author and I love her book. And we're like, oh my God, we're soul sisters.
Yes. And I got to work on your last site that you had. So that was really fun. I don't do the graphic design anymore, but I do design. In fact, pretty exciting news. We're in the process of finalizing a card deck right now, and I'm doing the graphic design. It's an oracle deck, secret.
Yay.
Like we're signing and closing this week, but I get to now take my design and my purpose of being creative and put it into my own brand, and it's so fulfilling.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to
be special.
That deck. You have an oracle deck. Is that based on Find Your Happy?
Yeah, so the Find Your Happy is an affirmation deck, and I have a book called Find Your Happy Daily Mantras, and they're mantras that you can pull out to feel better like in each moment.
Yeah.
So that deck I designed, but what's really special about this new oracle deck is it's mini collages, and I use the digital art collage style, and it's very play with the world. So it has bold colors. It's inspired by my travel. Like there's the Sedona canyons and pictures of India, and it's going to be a journey for our soul, an adventure for our souls.
I can't wait to use that. I love the affirmation cards you have. They're beautiful, and everybody, I highly recommend you check them out. And Shannon's book, Joy Seeker, is like the ultimate book. I need to read your bio. Let me read your bio and tell everybody we got distracted. Shannon Kaiser is the best-selling author of 5 books on the psychology of happiness and fulfillment, including the #1 bestseller, The Self-Love Experiment, and the Find Your Happy Daily Mantras, and her new book, Joy Seeker, Let Go of What's Holding You Back So You Can Live the Life You Were Made For. And I love all of these books. They're all on my bookshelf. I reference them frequently. Shannon's an international empowerment coach and inspirational speaker. She's a self-love leader. She empowers people to trust and believe in themselves so they can awaken and align with their true self. She's been named one of the top 100 women to watch in wellness by Mind Body Green, alongside Cameron Diaz, Gwyneth Paltrow, Chris Carr, Gabby Bernstein, and Shannon is one of the freshest voices in mental health. She contributes to Chicken Soup for the Soul, Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul, and she's a thought leader on the rise, so says Cafe Truth. She's just like everything and more. You can find her at playwiththeworld.com. She's amazing. She's one of the entrepreneurs you must follow Instagram accounts by Mind Body Green. I mean, she's amazing. She's been in Vogue. She's been in Cosmo. She's been in Elle. She's been in Women's Health. She's been in Regular Health magazine, Entrepreneur, Spirituality and Health, Mind Body Green. She's everywhere. She's amazing.
That's crazy amazing. Thanks for such a great introduction in my bio.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a great bio. And you can find Shannon on social at Shannon Kaiser Writes. And I highly do recommend following her because she's very inspiring. I follow her and I watch all her Instagram stories every day.
That's so fun. I know. I am always like posting fun, positive stuff, and it's great to just kind of do what you love for a living. And that's really the path I'm on, to help others connect to their true self.
Exactly.
Be who they're meant to be.
That's what you do. And I mean, whether it's Joy Seeker, The Self-Love Experiment, all your books, Shannon's books are just kind of like a big hug, a huge uplift. And I call her my super soul sister. That's what we call each other. And she's your super soul cheerleader too. And plus like all these amazing, really deep, actionable things that you can do to transform. And that's what I love about your work, Shannon, is it's happy, it's fun, it's colorful, but it's deep, deep stuff and deep transformation. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
I think that's really the key, is the deep inner work. That's, for so long, I know in my own journey, I was like chasing happiness, and I was looking for it outside of myself, and all the next course, the next book, the next big win, the accolades or the goal weight or the soulmate. It just never stopped. Yes. And it wasn't until that's what started the Joy Seeker journey, because it's like the previous books, I always wrote about what I needed to learn. And as I wrote the book, I healed myself. And then I just kind of put it out into the world. And it's so beautiful how the career has grown because people find resonance in that message. But I realized the biggest shift was stop looking outside of myself and instead go inward. So it is about the inner journey and being true to ourselves. And as we start to do that, we connect to who we are meant to be in this world. We all have this purpose and this gift, and it's about authentic living and shining your light.
Yes. Well put. She must be a writer.
A communicator, right?
No,
that's
you
what
are.
we do.
And Shannon, since we're both authors, I often tell Shannon, I'll be on a book deadline, like feeling like a hot mess. Yeah. And I'll tell Shannon, you're a real writer, Shannon. Like, you're a real writer. Like, this girl's a writer. I mean, she's prolific.
Meanwhile, Amy's like, you're prolific because you're like popping out book. You're like, I got 4 books coming out in the next 6 months. And then we're just like, what? That's amazing. So you are a writer too. You have to own it. But you're right. The work and the way we do it is so different. My books are like these inner journeys. They're very memoirisc, if that's the word, memoirisc, but they're very much into who and your soul, because I write, it's my healing, it's my therapy. I used to be very depressed. I was addicted to drugs, and all my relationships were really superficial, and it wasn't until I discovered writing that I actually found my true self. So it is the greatest gift to be able to write for a living and to be able to help others with my writing.
And you share this with us, which is, it's so special, and I feel it's such a service. And the authenticity with which you share your journey is one of the things that I think is so key and so amazing. Because you do, and it's just, it's sharing so much of yourself with the world in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, I got to a point in my journey where I realized I had to stop hiding from who I was, I think a lot of us tend to, I found in my depression, in my anxiety state, I wasn't being honest with myself about who I was. And so it was a kind of a pivotal moment I mean, Jim Carrey said his quote is, depression is an avatar. It's an avatar at a character we've been playing that no longer we relate to. And that was what I went through. And so it's interesting because if you think about it, like wherever we are in our life, we get stuck. But a lot of times the anxiety, the stuckness, the depression is just a knock, like, hey, there's more for you. And that more is what I answered, like that inner voice that said, no longer can you hide yourself. You need to put it out there and just let the world, when I write, I don't think, is somebody going to like this? Am I going to be accepted? I just have to write for me, and then it gets out in the world. And I think as creatives, as communicators, anyone, whether your mission is to write or not, it's so important for us to just be true to ourselves.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think we find the path to do that through practice too. I know for me, it's been that way. And it's interesting, you brought up Spiritual Girl's Guide to Dating, and that really was a very authentic book for me. And all of my books have been as well, but some are more informational. But to come back around, to sharing that is one of the things I'm looking at, after my next few books launch, where, what direction I want to go in next, like to share it that way again. And that's part of what I was thinking this podcast would get to evolve into, is people like us, authors, people who are sharing our thoughts, sharing our ideas. It's our job to be creative, really showing up and saying, here's the authentic reality of what's going on with us too.
Yes, I think it's about being so open and honest with our own selves, because, we all want the same thing. We want to be loved. We want to love. We want to be seen and heard and understood. And the only way we can do that is by breaking down those walls and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, allowing ourselves to connect. And to your point, what's so beautiful is your journey. Like now you're wanting to, you demonstrate so, oops, my earring just fell off. You demonstrate so, I'll just keep going. Just go with life, right? Change. You demonstrate so beautifully what we have to do, which is keep checking in with ourselves. What is most important? What do I want for my life? Who am I really? And so you've been writing these amazing books that are helping and informational, but now you're like, I think I want to open up to kind of a deeper part. And that's what we should all do in our life.
Absolutely. And my last book, A Little Bit of Goddess, was a culmination for me of getting to share just a fraction of what I've been teaching for 19 years with shamanism and people learning to meet their guides and working with goddess energy. And what I have felt is has been part of my mission to share, the matriarchy and to open the door to all of these benevolent goddesses that can be helpful to everybody. So now, or I don't know, I feel like it's a new phase for me, and I'm wondering if you're feeling that way too.
100% for you, because I know we led the event together in New York last fall. And I remember your portion of the workshop was all about that goddess energy. And it was so special to see you teach and be on the stage. But what was interesting to me is in my own life, I feel that I've kind of been resisting my goddess energy. So my own I've been very much in the masculine. I came from corporate, and there was like this kind of toughness. And so it's about opening up to your fierce femininity and the grace and the power. And what you show so beautifully is that you can be a divine goddess, and it doesn't have to be so crazy woo-woo, and it doesn't have to be anything else but what you make it and what feels good for you. And so I feel that is definitely a new opening for you, but it's what your mission is and what you're here to teach. And I think our work is always evolving, like with this new card deck, its current title is Unshakable Inner Peace, but it's a spiritual deck. It goes
I love that.
Yes. And it's so amazing because there's like a lot in the deck. So there's crystals. I've designed it with crystals. It's infused with Reiki energy. It has like different chakra colors. So it's everything that I am putting into this deck. But my work up until this point has been books and card decks. But I haven't allowed myself to kind of show that side because I was so worried I'd alienate my audience. I was worried. But then I got to a point about 6 months ago where I said, every next level of you will demand a new version of you. And I have to show up
Yes.
even more fully now, which is what you're doing and what I'm doing. And so we have to just keep committing and saying, I need to be unapologetic about who I am.
Yeah.
And for us as creators and teachers and leaders, it turns into what we create.
Yeah, it does. And
I'll send you some of the.
I'm excited to see. That's my inside connection with best-selling author Shannon Kaiser.
We'll like text each other our book covers and stuff.
Do. I'm working on a proposal that I'm going to send you some screenshots.
Yes, please. Please.
And
can't wait.
I love that we're like both in the incubator at the same time. Of course we are. So
I know. It's special.
That's the soul sister connection. And Shannon is also my travel angel. So a few years back, she invited me, I think was that 3 years ago when we did the Powerhouse Arena event?
Yeah. I think it was like 2017.
I think it was. So she invited me to come up in September to speak on a panel for her launch. She had a book launch. I had a book launch. Conveniently, we were soul sistering. And I booked all the tickets and everything, and it ended up where I lived was evacuated at the time because of weather, which my home was fine. But so I said to Shannon, you're my travel angel. Then I think the next year, she said, hey, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. Plus, she was traveling the world. She said, hey, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. Do you want to meet me down there? So we spent three days together in Tamarindo, which were amazing. And you were such my travel angel because before that, I went to La Fortuna up in the mountains, in the jungle, in the hot springs, and wrote a book. I decided to do that. And I said, gosh, I think it worked out. I spent 13 days there. Probably one of the, if not the best vacation of my life thus far, one of the best vacations of my life. And I wouldn't have done that if not for you, because I was going to go to the South Pacific to write that book. Yeah, amazing. And then I was I got your text. Costa Rica. She's closer. That sounds easier.
I still remember. Yeah, because I remember I was planning. So I traveled for a full year. As I decided the biggest dream in my heart of heart is to work from anywhere and take business location independent. So I traveled. I visited 18 countries and 28 cities. And I had my itinerary. And I remember right before I left Portland, Oregon, which is my home base, I got your text and you said, hey, where are you going to be like April-ish, May or whatever? And I told you Costa Rica. And then it just fell into place. And you know what's really cool about that behind the scenes? I was Airbnb-ing my way around the world. And so sometimes you don't know what you're going to get when you show up to these Airbnbs. Yeah. And I checked into the Airbnb, which was on the beach, which is normally fine, but it was basically a shack on the beach. And it didn't look like that in the pictures, but I was like, Amy's coming and I already have the Airbnb. Like, we're going to do this. And there were crabs. And so Amy checked in and she was very kind, but she's like, okay. And I was
I'm not zipping my suitcase.
You can, And then I think we saw a mouse or something run by. And within like 2 seconds, we were online and Amy we booked like a luxury spa place and
we went to a 4-star hotel instead.
So it was like, you showed me too that you don't have to ever stay in a situation that doesn't serve you. So that was a good lesson for me. But also I tend to stick things out because I feel like I got to see it through. It's part of my Pisces-ness. It's part of like wanting to fulfill wishes and dreams. But you were so great. And I think that's why as friends, we work so well together too, because we complement each other. And that resort we stayed at was amazing. We had such a good time.
Oh my gosh. I loved that place. Those breakfasts were so out of this world.
Like for a breakfast, most breakfasts are a little continental-ish. And this was tropical.
Was like gourmet.
It's interesting too, because if you remember, we were at the pool and we were just hanging out, and I remember there was a lady walked by and she goes, wait a second, and she held up your book.
I know.
And she was holding your book, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. We're in the middle of Costa Rica. And
I know. We're in Tamarindo, like getting recognized.
How cool is that?
Shannon goes, she's the author. And I go, she's an author too.
I know, but I'm like, look, you're reading her book. And so that's a good point, though. Get yourself, for anyone's watching or listening to, or surround yourself with people who support you, who,
Yes.
you know, that's
oh
what
my gosh.
we're so genuinely want each other to succeed. And I think coming from a corporate background where it was dog eat dog and people were just like throwing you under the bus, it's so amazing to be in an industry where there's women supporting women, and just to meet, like, you are one of my best friends. And it's so special because it's like we get to meet people through the work that we do.
I know, it's pretty amazing. And I also have to share, because of Shannon's design background, she's like a walking art director. She'll just like take my book, put it on the table with some cactuses, take this picture, send it to me. Yeah. She'll be like, hold your book by the pool right here. And she'll like take my, I'm just like, she can't turn it off, and I love it. I just try to soak it up.
I'm so glad you love it. It's how I see the world. I'm hoping to manifest a man who can support and love that too.
Yes.
Like a big goal of mine is to be in a romantic relationship. Cause like I hang out with my friends who aren't in the industry, and they're like, why are you taking pictures of like the tree? And I'm like, I see the world in beautiful light. And so
you do. You taught me the app I use to add lens flare to pictures. Lens light. I still use that app.
I like that.
Shannon's my visual inspiration, among many other things.
Yeah.
Yes. So
you know, because when I left. Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. We have a little delay.
When I left corporate,
I
think so. I left corporate, and I was like, I'm not doing graphic design. I want to be a writer, and I abandoned that part of me. And I would freelance for about the first 5 years of my business growing as a creator. I was doing freelance, but I knew there would be a point where it would switch over to just not doing client work.
Right.
But about a year ago, I actually felt like I'm missing something. And I realized it was my design. And so I needed to design. So I sat down and I just started designing for myself. And it turned into this beautiful card deck that is now going to be out in the world probably next year. Yeah. So it's just, I guess the point of sharing this story is we have to honor all parts of us. And there's a season and a reason, you know, I needed to leave it in order to come back it and love it again.
I think so. And I mean, your talent is something I've gotten to see for years. And it's every level of creative talent. It's visual, it's written, it's spoken, it's dance. I mean, it's a lot of talent, and I love creativity. So of course we love each other. We are going to wrap up, but I have a question I want to ask you. That's kind of our closing question for the podcast. If you could tell your 16-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Wow, 16. First,
it's pretty young.
Back to where I was. I go back to where I was at 16 years old. Oh my gosh. Well, this is tricky, and I feel that the most important thing is to show up for yourself sooner. That's what I would say. I was living for everyone else, and I was so insecure, but I look back and I had everything. And sometimes we are our own worst critics. And so it's love yourself. I would say you are worthy of your own love, Shannon.
I love that. I love that. Maybe some 16-year-olds will listen to us.
Yeah.
They'll be like, you guys might be too old for us. But
they'll be like,
you're listening.
I already love myself because I'm awesome. Like,
I hope that's what they do say. Exactly.
Amen, sister. Rock on with your self-love.
Yeah, that's what we hope. Thank you so much for being with us, Shannon.
Thank you. It was so fun to catch up, and I'm so happy that you're here doing the podcast, and congratulations on all your new projects coming out as well.
Thank you. I know I have four books launching. Got a lot coming up in 2020.
Yeah. Big year.
Yes. And thank you everyone for listening to the podcast. We're so glad you're here on Happily Holistic. Make sure you check out Joy Seeker Shannon's amazing book. It's one of my faves. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Happily Holistic with me, Amy Lee Mercree. You can find out more about the show on amyleemercree.com on the podcast page. Please stop by your favorite social platform and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear how you liked today's show and what topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Amy Lee Mercree. Until next time, stay happily holistic.